Okay, so now we have the default settings that come with the application, which are factory settings. But the whole point of this thing was so that we can build something on top of that, so that the user can change those settings and use the user settings. To make this possible, we have to add some more code, and let's do it. So I'm going to go to Preference Controller, my H file, and I'm going to define few more methods, which will be class methods. I'm going to define them before this. I want to define 4 methods. They will be kind of getters and setters for those 2 parameters. So first one would be a class method that will return NSColor. Of course, when I say return NSColor, I mean most of the time the pointer to instance of NSColor. And it will be called preference table bg color. This method will return the color that is actually set right now. The other one would be, of course, to set preference table bg color. Okay. Oh yeah, well, to set it, we need to make it so that it accepts the NSColor, which will be, let's say, color. Okay, what is the problem here? Oh yeah, NSColor, of course. So do the same for the checkbox. It's not a color, it's a boolean. So preference empty doc. This will return the boolean of that checkbox, and we want to set the value of that checkbox and say set preference, preference empty doc, and it accepts, of course, the corresponding type of boolean empty doc, like so. Okay, so these are the class methods, and I hope you understand why they are class methods but not instance methods. So defining is fine. Let's implement those. And I'm going to implement those here because they're a class and it's just a good idea to put them first everywhere. So first is NSColor preference table background color. So this should return me a something from the user defaults. So first thing first, let's take NS user defaults, and again just say defaults, and this is an extra, and take that shared object. So NS user defaults, nope, where are you? NS user defaults standard weird user defaults. So what is the problem here? Expected. Weird. Yeah. Okay. So let's take again the NS data of a color, but this time we're not getting the default built-in yellow color. We're actually getting something from the settings. So I'm going to do NS data and call it the same color as data and make it get something from our NS user default. So defaults. Oh yeah, the problem here was that default, I called it default by mistake, and default is reserved. I cannot call it, so I say defaults, and this is fine. So yeah, defaults, and I get object for key, just like with the dictionary, and I'm going to say ITU table background color key. Okay, so this thing gets something from my user defaults, and we want to return it now. So this is the color. So we got color as data, so we have to make the reverse of the process we did when we were setting the default color. We want unarchive. So remember NSKeyed unarchiver? And an archive object with data, color as data. So this will actually return me a instance of NSColor, because this is what was saved there by default and will be saved in the method we're going to write next. So the next method is for setting the color. This was to getting the color, and it returns void because it doesn't actually return anything. And set preference table background color. It takes a color and writes it into the default settings. So I'm going to do NS data and actually just do the same thing, color as data, and archive that color we just accepted. So I'm gonna go NS keyed archiver, archive data with root object, and the object is of course color we just accepted here, this color. So now we have this color as NS data. It's ready to be packed into the user default. This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna say NS user defaults, get that shared object. So this is always the same object, and we're always doing it to the single thing. And I want to set the object, and the object is that color as data we just created. And the key is, the key is ITU table background color key. This is why I created those constant strings, so that I never misspell the name of the key, because I have those auto completion. So you get the idea. We do the same for the second setting, which is a boolean. This will return me a preference empty doc, and NS user defaults, I say defaults, and just do the same and just get the shared NS defaults object and return something from it. I want to return defaults boolean for key, and the key is, again, this is really handy, empty doc key, this one, nothing more. And the last one to implement is, let's go like this, is a void method that is called set preference table background color. No, of course, this is what we did. Set preference empty doc, and it takes the boolean, and we want to save it into our NS user defaults, get the standard default blah blah blah, and set boolean. You always have to set the corresponding type, and if you're getting the boolean and you want to set it, you have to set it as a boolean. You can kind of actually save it as a number, but that's not the idea. You want to use something that you provided with. So the boolean is something we got from here, the empty doc, and the key is the ITU empty doc key. Okay, so this step is done also. Now there are methods that allow us to get something, to get the data from defaults and save data into defaults. But again, nothing changed for the application, so I'm not going to run it. We just have to go on to the next step and implement more stuff.